All right, so we've covered enough genetics to pretty much handle blood type problems, but if you want some more information about blood types and why they matter, you're in the right place. The reason we care a lot about blood types is that there are some life-saving medical procedures like blood transfusions that you can do if you know the blood type of the person you're giving blood to and the person that blood came from. And the simplest way to handle this would be to just say you have to always give a person the exact same blood type that they already have, but you can get away with certain other combinations if you know what you're doing. And let's look at how those combinations can work. First of all, let's see what happens if you do a bad blood transfusion. We'll see what goes wrong, and then we'll see if we can find a way around it. If we have a person whose blood type is A, that means all the blood cells in their body carry the A antigen. It's like an ID badge. Anytime their immune system checks one of its blood cells, it says, yep, A antigen, seen that before. That's on the OK list. A antigen means, or blood type A means the A antigen is OK and normal. No trouble with that. If you gave this person type A blood, they would be perfectly fine. But let's put an ugly twist on the story. Suppose they're injured, they're bleeding, you're trying to help them, you give them a blood transfusion, but you give them type B blood. What they're getting now is blood cells that have the B antigen on them. And this person's immune system has never seen the B antigen before. When it detects this, effectively it thinks, I don't recognize this. This must be a virus, a bacteria, some kind of fungus, something that can cause disease. I must destroy it. And the way that your immune system destroys things like this, when they are an unfamiliar antigen, the immune system thinks, I must trap this and destroy it because I don't recognize it. It's some foreign object. It produces antibodies. Antibodies are chemicals that can grab onto an unfamiliar antigen, a couple of unfamiliar antigens, and tie them together. It's like a police officer taking two criminals and handcuffing them to each other just so that they can't move as easily. They have trouble getting through doors, they have trouble escaping, and later you can come and arrest them all at once because they're all chained together into a big lump. So if you have all these Bs, a bunch of blood cells with Bs on them, after a short time, antibodies, which are Y-shaped proteins most of the time, will come along and start linking these together into a clump. And this starts happening all through the bloodstream. Everywhere that this B blood has gotten to, you start getting clumping. Now, blood is supposed to flow freely to keep you alive, and if your blood starts clumping, you are in for a bad time. It will obstruct blood vessels, and you'll start losing your blood supply. And you start losing it in the smaller blood vessels first, which are in places like your heart, your kidneys, your brain. If this happens and you're not in an emergency room, you are probably going to die very quickly. These antibodies cause, I'm just recapping here, they cause clumping, and the technical term for that clumping is agglutination. And that causes circulatory blockages. Circulatory blockage. Circulatory blockage equals death unless it's treated very rapidly. And this is what happens anytime that you give someone an incompatible blood type. And what we've seen here is an incompatible blood type is one that has any letter that you don't normally have in you. So let's look at blood types and see what kind of combinations work and which ones would not. If your blood type is A, and I'm just going to scrunch this over a bit so I have a little bit more space to write things. Up here we have our recipient's blood type. And over on the left, we'll put the person who's giving the blood, who they normally call the donor. If you have type A blood and you give it to a type A person, for example, what do you think? Okay? It is okay because these cells contain the A antigen. This person's immune system is totally used to seeing the A antigen, and so this is no problem. It's exactly the same blood type, so it's not too surprising. The only antigen that's here is one that this person is used to seeing. How about here, type AB? This person's blood has A's and B's in it all the time. Its immune system is used to seeing A's and it's used to seeing B's. When it sees an A antigen, it says, yep, fine. I recognize that. My cells have that. And so this matches all right too. Now, sometimes people ask at this point, what about the B? Doesn't it notice that the B is missing? And the answer is no. Your immune system is not smart enough to recognize that something is missing. It only knows what it's actually seeing. It has to see an unfamiliar antigen to react. So in an AB person, your immune system is saying A's are fine, B's are also fine. I'm not worried by either one of those. So this A is fine. It doesn't notice the absence of the B, and so this donation goes all right. How about here? We give blood cells that have A antigen on them. This person's immune system is used to seeing B's, but it does not recognize A. I'm switching colors to red. You know what that's going to mean. That is not a safe blood donation. This antigen will trigger an immune response in this person because their system does not recognize the A antigen. And over here, what antigens does a type O person have? Trick question. They don't have any. Type O people don't have A or B antigens, so if they see type A, they won't recognize that. Immune response, agglutination, maybe they die. So you can give type A blood, this means, to an AB person or an A person, because you're giving them the A antigen and both of these people's systems say, yep, I recognize A, that's something I normally have in me. Let's try the next line. How about type B? B to an AB person, what do you think? You give them B antigen, they say, yeah, B, that's a thing I have, no problem. B to an A person, trouble. This person does not normally have B antigen in them. Their system does not recognize it. You will get an immune response if you put B into an A person. How about this? B blood to a B person, not surprisingly, works fine. You give them B antigen, they're used to having B antigen, all good. How about B blood to an O person? Type O means you don't have either antigen. Your immune system will react to any antigen. This doesn't work either. You can't give A blood to an O person. You can't give them B either because they're not used to either of those antigens. How about AB? AB to an AB person, as you might guess, works fine. How about AB blood into an A person? The A is all right. They recognize that, but they don't recognize the B. If you give AB blood to an A person, this will be okay, but they won't recognize the B antigen. They'll get an immune reaction to that. So, can't do it. B blood, opposite problem. Now the A will cause a reaction even though the B is all right. So AB blood, problematic. AB to an O person? How about double allergic reaction? This person doesn't recognize the A or the B. Very bad idea, don't do it. And last row, how about O blood? O blood doesn't have any antigens in it. If you give that to an AB person, it's like their immune system doesn't even see it. There's no antigens to see. So they're like, yeah, fine. Give that to an A person, still no antigens. Give it to a B person, no antigens. Give it to an O person, finally something they can take. This person's blood wouldn't recognize, this person's immune system, sorry, wouldn't recognize A or B antigen, but this blood doesn't have any. And so everything is fine. You might have heard the terms universal donor or universal recipient when they're talking about blood, and with this table we can explain what that means. Blood type O is the universal donor. Why? Because it's got no antigens in it. There's nothing in this blood that will trigger anybody. It doesn't matter what antigens you're used to seeing, it simply does not have any antigens. So, blood type O is great. You can give it to any person at all, it will not hurt them. Type O is what we call the universal donor. Now, on the other hand, if you are type O, you are not a universal recipient, far from it. A will kill you, so will B. AB will really kill you. The only blood you can accept if you're blood type O is more type O. So O's are very good at giving blood. They're not very good at taking blood. You can only give them their exact blood type or you will have trouble. There is a universal recipient. You see where they are? Right here. If your blood type is AB, that makes you, let's see if I can write vertically today, universal recipient or universal acceptor, whatever you want to say. If your blood type is AB, you can be given any type of blood. A? Yeah, I got that. B? Yeah, I have that. Both at once? Sure, that's what I look like anyway. No antigens? Nothing in that to bother me. If your blood type is AB, you can receive any kind of blood. But you're a lousy donor. If your blood type is AB, you can only give to other ABs. If you're AB and you give your blood to an A, the B antigen will kill them. If you give it to a B, the A antigen will kill them. If you give it to an O, double trouble. So there's kind of a spectrum here where O is the best for giving, AB is the best for receiving, and A and B are kind of in between. And if you understand all that, then you can manage a blood bank, and what you'll do then is if you don't know a person's blood type, you will give them type O at first because you know that's going to be okay. You will not give someone AB blood unless you know they're AB because that's the only time you get to use that. When a blood donor comes in and says my blood type is AB, I mean, you thank them and you're nice, but you're thinking, this is not great blood. I can only give this blood to other ABs. When a type O person walks in and says they want to give blood, you give them extra juice and cookies because that's great blood. You can use it on anyone. And for anyone else, if their blood type is A or B, you're thinking, okay, I can match that type, or I can give them blood type O. So managing your blood inventory is a delicate science, and you can do it much more effectively if you understand how these types interact. If we had to give everyone their exact type, we'd waste a lot of blood. And it's good to know that you can give, for instance, B blood to an AB person. You can give O blood to anybody. There's more overlaps than you would think at first. There's a little more to blood types that we'll get into later. In addition to the A and B antigens, there is an RH antigen, which make things a little more complicated. But for now, that should be enough for you to tackle any blood donation questions that we give you.